Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to Mike Reviews It All, where I review pretty much everything that I think you might be interested in. Today I want to talk about sports betting in America. Now let's talk to begin with, why was sports betting illegal in most of the United States to begin with, and why is it not federally illegal now? Well, in 1992, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 92 came into effect. It halted the spread of legal sports betting beyond Nevada and Atlantic City and a few state-run sports lotteries in Oregon, Delaware, and Montana. But basically, you have to go to Nevada or Atlantic City during this time to bet on any sports. How big is bet boarding in America? Nevada's Gaming Control Board reported a record $4.8 billion in bets at its sport books in 2017. The House kept about $249 million in revenue. Legal betting, what nobody argues is legal betting is definitely the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more illegal betting going on in the other 49 states than this small bit. Now, estimates are very wide because it's illegal. It's not like they're sending out, a poll to people and saying, how much do you illegally bet a year? I've seen estimates anywhere from lowest estimates from around 80 billion all the way up to about 400 billion. Congress actually did their own study, and this was way back in 1999. A study was commissioned by Congress, put the range at between 80 billion and 380 billion dollars annually. That's a pretty large divulsion in numbers. That's a pretty wide spread. But like I said, it's pretty hard to track down. Recently, NBA commissioner said it was over 400 billion. There's been estimates basically anywhere from about 80 billion to 400 billion. So how much could this help the country? Obviously, that's not all going to be revenue because people win some of this back. So let's look at the numbers. 4.8 billion on sportsbooks bet in Nevada in 2017. They got about let's say around 250 million in revenue, and say almost 5 billion, just to make even round numbers. So they got about 5% of it back after all their expenses and stuff. That sounds like a lot of expenses to me, but that's the case here. 10% of 5 billion is 500 million. Half of that is 5%, about $250 million in revenue. So let's say we have $300 billion worth of betting going on out there. What is 10% of that is 30 billion. Half of that is about 15 billion. Take a guess as to how much in the United States that we spend overall as a country. One of the problems that people complain about the absolute most is entitlements. And now let's talk about food stamps in general. People getting upset because poor people shouldn't be drinking soda and eating potato chips. Well, probably nobody should be doing those things on a regular basis. I'm not here to get political, but just gander a guess as to how much you think that we spend on food stamps annually. Around 60 billion, and it is constantly dropping. So this could fill that gap pretty well. Most states so far have not come forth with really any plans as to how they're going to legalize sports gambling. It's already happened illegally. Why not legalize it the way Washington and Colorado have marijuana? They've used a lot of the money for schools on different things. There's depending on who you talk to and what side of the aisle they're on, obviously there's been negative and positive effects on marijuana. Gambling doesn't get anyone high, though. Gambling, yes, some people get a little maybe overexcited, and they're likely to gamble more if it's legal. I'm going to say that number, if they estimate 400 billion as the top, I'm going to estimate the top is probably about $1 trillion, which would definitely more than cover the entire food stamps in all the country. And then we can pay for, anti-gambling classes or whatever you need on top of it. But people are going to bet. I love the UFC. It's a lot funner to watch if you put a couple bucks down on a fight. You care more about the result. When friends are watching, you might throw a couple dollars into a pool. I mean, is this $1 and $2 thing ever going to disappear? Probably not. But there are a lot of people that have a lot of fun betting, and a lot of people that are still going to illegal bookies. Believe it or not, there still are mafia-style organizations out there, and they're very, very dangerous. You might not trust the government, but they're probably not going to come and break your leg. They're probably going, and then, your losses are going to be tax deductible. Losses to bookies, illegal bookies, are not tax deductible. Of course, you're going to have to pay taxes on your winnings, but that money, we need to make sure goes to something great. We're writing this legislation in current day time, so we have the ability to disperse those funds in a way that we see fit. Now, that would most likely be seen fit state by state. Here in Washington, our piece of the pie, let's say food stamp entitlements, it's less than $10 billion, way less than $10 billion a year, which is about what we estimate legal gambling could be. Pretty high salaries here. Washington State so far has really shown no interest in legalizing gambling. I don't quite understand the thinking behind that, especially since we have card games and different things inside Indian gambling casinos. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's some bleeding heart out there that really cares about somebody gambling their money away. I highly doubt it, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They're betting that money anyways. States, especially Washington State, likes to get their money on tax revenue. That's like their favorite thing to do, is let's make more taxes. Here in Washington, they're trying to create a toll on the bridge in the small town of 30,000 people that I live in Lake Stevens. I mean, they want tax money. Take it from people that are gambling. You know what? I'll probably bet on a few football games. I'd probably bet on a few UFC matches here and there. It's fun. I'm not going to bet my life savings or my house away, but I have the ability, most likely, to go out there and bet with somebody else. And if you do it online, you're likely to get your identity stolen. You're likely not to ever get what you win. Good luck claiming yourself a victim when it's illegal. So I would definitely advocate for sports betting in the United States. We're talking about rebuilding infrastructure, paying for entitlements, our debt, all these things. I think sports gambling is a huge, huge chunk of that. I know there's a lot of other things to consider. Some people have talked about things like, oh, well, we might have games that are rigged, or boxers, falling and taking dives and stuff. We have that already all the time. There was a huge crackdown in the 90s and I believe early 2000s in the NBA of referees that were on the take. They went to frickin' jail. If we have the bets on the books and we can see where the money's going to, at least we have a chance. At least we have a chance to see where it's at and take some of that money. We can use some of that money for oversight. I just don't see a lot of negatives to this. to be honest. I mean, I don't want anybody to become gambling addicts and lose their houses, but they have the ability to do that right now. They can go to Indian casinos around here. They can go online and be be addicted to shopping on Amazon. A lot of people are, and a lot of people don't pay their bills because they buy stupid crap on Amazon and Walmart all the time. Should we illegalize shopping for people that are addicted to it? Why don't we refund them all their money because it's a sickness? You could take this to the most ridiculous degree possible. You can take it as far as you want, but at the end of the day, I think what we need to do is we need to legalize gambling, sanction it, and tax it. DraftKings.com and many other casinos, their stock went up when the Supreme Court passed this decision. It's good for business. It's going to bring in revenue. It's going to bring in, you know what else it's going to bring in? It's going to bring in tourism. People are going to come here to watch sporting events and bet on them. What's cooler than going to a live sporting event that you have some stake in? I mean, that's pretty awesome. I believe it makes the experience better, in my opinion. If you don't think so, don't bet. Don't gamble. I'm not big on, I don't do slot machines and things like that because I don't feel like I'm very lucky, but I like to bet, on fights and sports. Like I said, I like picking things. I may win, I may lose. I'm not going to bet more than what's fun for the most part. But I want to know what you guys think. What are the pitfalls of illegal gambling, if any? Do the pitfalls outweigh the benefits? What should this money be spent on? How much illegal gambling do you think happens out there a year? I've thrown a lot of facts at you. I want to know what your guys' personal experiences are and what you think of all this. Let me know down there in the comments down below. As always, please hit that like and subscribe button. As always, I love you, I respect you, and I'll see you later.